Alright guys, welcome to part 1 of this tutorial on the Loki Bulk Data Processor. The Bulk Data Processor is a lightweight ASP.NET Core library that allows the fast and efficient bulk copying of data into a SQL Server database table and is capable of saving 100,000 records in a couple of seconds. If you wish to code along with me, go over to GitHub at the URL highlighted and either clone or download the Loki Bulk Data Processor example starter project solution. The link will be left in the description below. Once you have downloaded the solution, run the update database command in the NuGet Package Manager console window. This will create a new database with a blogs table and a post table. The connection string is located in the app settings file, so don't forget to update this if you are not running against localhost. To get up and running with the Bulk Data Processor, we need to download the package from NuGet by clicking on Tools and selecting Manage NuGet Packages for Solution. In the search bar, type Loki Bulk Data Processor, click on the package, and then select the Loki Bulk Data Processor's example project on the right hand side. At the time of creating this video, we are currently on version 3 of the Bulk Data Processor, so make sure that version 3 is selected in the version drop down and then click on the install button. Once the package has been installed, we need to tell the Web API how to resolve the Bulk Data Processor's dependencies. So let's go over to our startup file and add the loki.bulkdataprocessor.dependency injection namespace. This exposes the add Loki Bulk Data Processor extension method on the iService collection interface. The add Loki Bulk Data Processor method takes two parameters. The first parameter is the connection string of the database you are connecting to, and this parameter is required. The second parameter is the assembly where the custom mappings for the Bulk Data Processor are located, and this is nullable. Since we will not be using any custom mappings just now, I will only pass in the connection string by copying and pasting in the configuration.getConnectionString method from below. With the startup file configured, we will now go over to the Bulk Processor controller and inject the iBulkProcessor interface into the constructor, and then resolve the namespace before assigning this to the _BulkProcessor variable. I'll now go ahead and copy and paste the new SafePostWithoutMapping method into the controller. This method will use the Bulk Data Processor to bulk insert a collection of PostDTO objects. The method will also take an items parameter, which represents the number of posts we are going to save, and then we will use a for loop to create the list of PostDTOs. Finally, we call the saveAsync method on the Bulk Data Processor. The first parameter will be the PostDTOs that we wish to save, and the second parameter will be the name of the database table which we wish to save to. At the moment, we are getting compiler errors because the PostDTO class does not exist. I'm going to go ahead now and create the DTO class in the models folder and then paste in the properties that represent the columns that we want to save. Comparing this to the columns on the post database table, notice that the property names on the PostDTO match the column names on the database table exactly. This is required when working without a custom mapping. Now that we have created the PostDTO class, let's go ahead and import the namespace into the Bulk Processor controller and then build the application to make sure there are no compiler errors. We have now successfully built the solution, so let's go ahead and put a breakpoint on the saveAsync method and run the application. In order to send a HTTP request to the SafePostModels endpoint, I'm going to use Postman. You can use any program you wish to interact with this API. However, I recommend Postman because I have left a JSON file containing the HTTP requests we will be working from under the Postman requests folder in Visual Studio. To import the file, click on the Import button in Postman and then follow the instructions. Once you have imported the file, select the SafePostModels HTTP request on the left hand side, and ensuring that the items parameter is set to 100,000 items, click on the Send button. Once we hit the breakpoint, I will skip over it so that we can record the execution time. and within 3.5 seconds, we have saved 100,000 records to the database. Over in SQL Server, I'm going to select everything from the post table to check that the data has been persisted, and there is the confirmation that the bulk insert has been successful. Now that we have used a collection of DTO objects to bulk save data to the database, let's take a look at how we can achieve the same thing using in-memory data tables. I'm going to post in a new SafePostDataTable method into the controller and then import the system.data namespace that the data table resides in. The code does almost the same thing as before, except now we add a new row to the data table for every item that we wish to create, and then we pass that data table to the saveAsync method on the bulk data processor. Note that similar to when we processed a list of post-DTO objects, the names of the data table columns must also match the database column names exactly. I'm now going to go ahead and set a breakpoint on the saveAsync method again and run the application. Over in Postman, let's select the SafePostDataTable method on the left hand side, and ensuring that the items parameter is set to 100,000 items again, click the Send button. When the breakpoint is hit, hover over the blog ID property and note that we have created a new blog with an ID of 2, and then step over the saveAsync method. This time, the saveAsync method executed in 1.5 seconds, which is even quicker than what we managed previously. Over in SQL Server, let's check that the data has persisted correctly by updating the where clause to only return posts where the blog ID is equal to 2. And there's the confirmation again that we have saved 100,000 items to the database. Thanks for watching part 1 of this tutorial on the Loki Bulk Data Processor. In part 2, I will wrap things up by showing you how to use custom mappings. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe.